Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and I have probably one of the most popular human beings on the internet with us today. It's true, I think, actually.
Yeah.
In the music space, right? I'm with Marty Schwartz, the one and only. And if you are one of the tens of millions of people who've picked up a guitar in the last decade, you've, more likely than not come across Marty. He's got over, check this out, 1 billion with a B views on YouTube. And he's the highest viewed guitar teacher on the internet. And he's helped six stringers all over the world learn to play through his channel, Marty Music. And I could tell you myself, I have tabs open. Like I think I have one. Here it is, man. It was Rebel, I think. Yeah.
Wow,
Rebel.
yeah.
That was an old one, right? Yeah, but I just came across it. I was thinking of that song. I said, and I popped up Rebel chords or something, and guess who comes up? There you go.
Hey, love that song. Yeah, that's old. That's old school. That's like my pre-gray beard era.
Well,
I'm
old, so.
Hey, and thanks for having me, Craig. I appreciate it. I look forward to, we can shoot the shit on guitars and internet and whatever else.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show. And I wanted to start out with, we were talking about Aerosmith, and you said you opened up for Aerosmith, man. Tell me the deal with that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we were having our pre-interview chats, and we were talking about, Aerosmith's, they're going to do a Vegas residency.
Yep.
And then that led to me saying, I actually got to open for Aerosmith, and which is weird because that was before I was on the internet or anything. I actually was a gigging guitar player. I know, a big shock, but no, I used to work as a guitar player and just a one-on-one guitar teacher. And, just through the course of being in Southern California, gigging and knowing musicians, it's all about networking. And my buddy Corey, who I'm still friends with, is a very outgoing, charismatic bass player in LA. And he would call me for certain kinds of gigs. And he said, "Hey, man, we're opening for Aerosmith in like 5 months. You ready to do it?" And, it's one of those things where it's like, sure, Corey, when I'm actually on stage, then I'll say, okay, this sounds great, because there's people talk so much about stuff. But it ended up happening, and it was for a Canadian pop star, someone that won one of those vocal competitions, but in Canada. I don't know if it was Canadian Idol or Canadian Pop Stars, something like that. She was the winner, and the tour was in Canada. So that's why we were opening for Aerosmith. That was her, big tour that she got to do out of winning the show, I guess. She wanted a Los Angeles band. So anyway, I got to do it, and I was backstage, and it was pretty classic because you could see like hair and makeup for Aerosmith, like kind of running around, and I'll never forget it. And it was so exciting. It's still cool because they're such a cool band, but I just remember the drummer, just playing the crap out of his drums a good 45 minutes before they went on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just getting warmed up, getting warmed up. He had a whole room that was just a drum room, with the full kit and everything. And he was just probably going through his warm-ups. And then I remember the hair and makeup running around with like, what seemed like hundreds and hundreds of scarves and and makeup palettes and stuff, and she was like very diva running around, like yelling at people, obviously, a stylist or something like that. And then the other thing that was cool, when I played the set with the singer, she did a wardrobe change. And so I got to do like a nice, like 2.5 minute stadium guitar solo while she changed outfits.
Where was this?
This was in Canada.
So
it was in Canada.
So you were in LA. She wanted an LA band to back her up just for this one gig.
Yeah, well, it was a set of gigs in Canada, so
Okay.
It was a tour. I mean, not a big tour; it was like a week.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I said, it was my buddy Corey who got me the gig, so I don't know who he schmoozed or who he talked to. But I had to basically meet the girl first, like at like a dinner, just to see if she gelled with everybody on who my friend Corey picked out for the whole band. And she liked everyone and said, yeah, let's go for it. And then we did a bunch of rehearsals in Orange County, California. So all the rehearsing was done locally to me. And then we flew to Canada to do the shows. But, that was me. Let me close that.
So, okay. So you were saying that the makeup, the scarves, Joey Kramer playing for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Brad Whitford played Divided by 13 Amps, and he still does. And so I had that in common with him, and he was cool. I just said hello. But then when our set was over, it was a big arena. It's like 50,000, kind of like horse racing track kind of place. But you had to get a van ride from the stage area to the backstage area. They weren't near each other. So you had to actually get in a van. So it was pretty wild. I got in the van to get my ride, and I was sitting with Joe Perry, Brad Whitford, and the singer of Cheap Trick,
Robin Zander.
Robin Zander, and just me. So I was kind of like a cool fly on the wall with all these like rockers talking. And it was like a 20-minute drive because you had to leave the venue and go through traffic, then get back in. So, I just got to, and this is obviously before I even knew that I would do, have this new music related career. I was just hustling. So at the time, that gig, there was something about that gig where I felt like, okay, I can quit music. If music doesn't work out as a career, like I got to do this. I got to do that thing where you play to 50,000 people and do a guitar solo and all that kind of high school fantasy dream stuff. I got to do it. So that gig definitely represented something cool to me, feeling like, okay, if this is the best that happens, it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that was, I want to say it was probably like maybe 15 years ago that I did that.
So those guys were probably in their 50s. Did you like talk with them at all? Or like it was just like overpoweringly intimidating?
No. It's
like six of them and one of you.
Yeah, when I say I talk to them, it's like, oh yeah, like that kind of stuff, or like, like laughing at their jokes. You're not gonna like. But I do remember Joe Perry had a stogie, a big cigar and a vest with no shirt on underneath, and he was very quiet spoken, mellow. And they were talking about that Steven Tyler had recently had vocal cord surgery.
Oh, wow. And
just how amazing his voice was sounding. And I watched them play, and they kicked ass. Yeah. They sounded so good. So I feel like it was before he broke his leg, he like broke his ankle or leg, and then got kind of back into pain pills, and like there was a lot of problems that happened, but I feel like it was that sweet spot where he'd had vocal surgery, but they were like getting along pretty well and playing some really cool shows and stuff. Now I also did see the accountant for Aerosmith with what I was told was $1 million in cash in a briefcase, and wow. He was counting the money.
That's a pretty cool job.
And I also know that for those gigs, they were, they basically flew private, and basically the private jet was like really their kind of hotel. They were like going back, or that's like where their home base was. I mean, I think they had hotels, but they were basically like so like pro, like land, do the gig, count the money, get back in the jet. I mean, that I guess is what I mean by that. But no, I didn't. Yeah, no love connections or anything. But
you guys didn't exchange numbers and say, "Hey, we'll have your girl call my girl and we'll do lunch" or something like that.
No, none of that. I mean, now I do talk to, is it Dax, the drummer of Cheap Trick, who is, the guitar player's son.
Rick Nielsen's son?
Yeah, Dax Nielsen, I think is his name.
Don't know.
But his son plays drums in Cheap Trick now. And so I have talked to him like many, many years later because he's interested in, the internet and all that stuff. But anyway, I did get to play in front of Aerosmith, and that was what I thought would probably be the highlight of my career.
Was it musically?
No, I don't think so. I
think
so. I mean, I was playing for someone else's songs and just doing a job. It was definitely a sideman, role, which was fine. I did a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, just the thrill of the audience is probably still the highlight. Yeah. I mean, as far as an audience, I think that's still, well, non-virtual audience.
Yeah. That's true. Good point. Well, that's an interesting thing that you mentioned there, because the energy, is there energy coming off of a virtual audience?
No, not really. Yeah. Not really, honestly. I got to say, I've done a lot more live stuff this summer, and they're not even things I'm seeking out, but just like, I did a show in New York. I'm going up to Northern California to do a show. I did a guitar lesson conference thing. I did an event for NAMM.
I was there. Jack Pearson.
Oh, that's right. And I met you at NAMM.
Right.
I can't even tell you how many things I've done since then.
That's great.
No, it is great. I love it. I'm living my career is exactly what I want it to be. I feel super lucky. I'm as pumped as can be. But what I was going to say about the virtual audience thing is because I've been able to interact with people more, and thus you and I even met through that kind of thing. It's just a nice little moment of validation, when people, it's like that's when I realized that the numbers and the people are real. But here's where I was going with it. In the events, I would, if I said something that people would chuckle at, I'm like, oh, finally some laughter. I don't know that if the other stuff I say ever needs someone to laugh. So you definitely do not feel that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the plus is you're not traveling. You're not in a van. You're not in a hotel. You're in the comforts of a studio that I love to hang out at that's right near my house, and I go home.
You really like surfing, huh?
No, no, actually. I don't actually. That's just one rack. There's another rack you can't see around the corner. So my studio here, because we're on Skype, obviously, so you can see behind me. And I guess some people have seen the surfboards. No, when I started Marty Music about 2.5, 3 years ago almost now, I started it in my garage. I was basically starting a new business altogether and starting a new brand altogether. So I was in my garage, and I had a storage unit of a bunch of gear that I had used in the past. And my dad he's really into surfing.
Oh, that's cool.
Like he doesn't surf anymore. He's retired, but when he was, his teenage thing, when the culture of surfing hit California, my dad was basically like 16, 17. Like it was the thing that happened. It was a revolution for him, and so he was a big time surfer. And so as Marty Music started to grow, maybe a year and a half in, my dad had a man cave where he played poker, and he has this amazing vintage surfboard collection. Okay. So my dad was getting kicked out of his man cave where he played poker, and he wanted the surfboards to be displayed still. He didn't want to put them in storage, or he's eventually going to donate them to a surf museum.
Oh, that's nice.
But not yet. He likes them. So what his plan was, hey, let's split an office together so I can keep my man cave stuff and you can have a studio again. Very cool. I said, all right, that sounds like a good deal. So basically I have my ultimate studio. I have everything I need, but the trade-off is I have like 50 vintage surfboards in here that people always ask me about, and I actually don't surf. I surfed when I was a kid.
No, but it's better to it's good to, like, if your dad collected ashtrays or something, that would be a problem. Surfboards are kind of cool, so.
Oh, they're works of art. It's like having guitars on the wall. Like
Yeah.
I see your wall, you've got guitars on the wall. The conversation piece. And I'm in Southern California. I'm in San Diego. So I've had plenty of people come by my place here and they just freak out on the surfboards.
Yeah.
In fact, the luthier of Taylor Guitars, Andy Powers, he's a surf freak. He's a surf fanatic. So I've sent them pictures, telling them, check this out. Because, I can't appreciate them as much as like a real surfer, but there's some pieces in here that apparently are pretty amazing. They're all just they're cool looking, but I know the history. It's like if I put up a 58 Les Paul Sunburst on the wall and I said, Dad, that's $1 million guitar, he'd be like, well, it's all beat up and rusted or whatever, no, he'd probably appreciate it, but
no, I get you though. It's not your thing. Yeah, it's not your thing.
Not my thing. But there's I grew up in Newport Beach, California, there's this famous beach there called the Wedge, where whenever you see like crazy giant shore break waves and people getting worked, it's typically the Wedge. So I grew up in that culture. I mean, I didn't always feel like the stud, blonde beach California kid. But I went to the beach a lot growing up. And then it's funny when I meet people now, though, they all think I'm like a New Yorker or in New York, which I think is funny, but they just look at me for whatever reason. They think I'm
a New York guy.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing the hat and everything. I think they just think, oh, that guy, grew up in New York. I don't know.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, Southern California, San Diego, blonde beach bros.
Yeah, I get it.
It's more just a stereotype.
Yeah, I get it. That's funny. Everybody thinks
there's plenty of guys like me in Southern California.
Yeah, I bet there's people all over the world that look like.
Look like all kinds. We're diverse. We're diverse, but it's just funny. The you tell a story. I do it myself when I see a complete stranger, like in public or something. You see someone or someone catches your eye, you tend to kind of
tell a story about them.
Yeah, I create a whole story, and it's probably nowhere near what it is, but you just can't help. But I think it's just the way our brains work. We are trying to put things together.
I don't like to do that when I see somebody because I'm really more of an auditory than a visual. But I tell you what, when I talk with somebody over the phone, not one time, but after you develop a rapport, I always have a vision of what they look like. And with 100% certainty, I have never remotely been close.
Right.
Never remotely been close.
Well, isn't it always weird back when we were younger and you listen to radio a lot and then you finally see the DJ?
Yeah.
And it's so weird.
It's usually disappointing.
They're also DJs for a reason. They're not television personalities for a reason,
Yeah, they got a face.
But I do remember that.
Yeah. Hey, so let me ask you this. You had mentioned before you started your channel, what prompted you to start a channel in the first place? And what was the landscape back then in terms of both resources that might have been available? It wasn't as easy to just make a video. Uploading something I know took forever. And in terms of competition, what was the landscape looking like?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think the key points to keep in. Otherwise we'll be here all.
Yeah, I'm sure. What made you do it in the first place?
Yeah. No, I love telling the story. As I talked about the Aerosmith thing, I was a full-time guitar player and guitar teacher. I got in my first professional band before I graduated college. So I'm happy to say that in that, gosh, how long is it? 96 is when I got into that first professional band where I could pay my bills and rent and whatnot. I mean, not a lot of money, but sure, enough for a 20-something-year-old. But I've never had to I've only used guitar for a job since that time. Now, of course, there was a lot of struggles, but I'm pretty, stoked to say that I've been able to have that be the thing, that I've done as a job. So gigging, teaching, lots of that stuff. And then we cut to 2005, I was teaching I was teaching a lot of lessons. So I had a word of mouth kind of thing out there as a local guitar teacher. And I got this phone call.
This is in Newport Beach?
No, this is actually now in San Diego, San Diego. But that's a boring story. I just ended up coming to San Diego for a band that I was in. But anyway, 2005, I randomly got hired as an elementary school music teacher. It wasn't something I was looking to do. But so when I got that job, it really it was a good opportunity for me because I got a lot of private students out of it.
Yeah.
And I became part of like a community in Carlsbad, California, and it was steady, and then I could still gig. It was just this nice little extra job on top of everything I was doing. It was like 20 hours a week.
Yeah, that was probably great lead generation for private students. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. And there was a cool guitar store right on the corner from the school that I became part of and all this stuff. So to me, I thought my calling was, okay, this is kind of the next step. I had a baby. I have 2 kids. My daughter was like a baby at the time. She was born in 2005. So my mind is changing. I've got a baby, that kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, I'm good I got better with time, but I could teach a whole class of kids, and it was kindergarten to 5th grade too. It was separate classes.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of leads.
Yeah, it was. There's a King of Copy I saw. So
that's a lot of leads.
No, it really was. It really was a great thing for me, and I became part of this community and all that stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go get my teaching credential. Maybe I'll become a full on teacher because of the benefits, and I can still gig, I can still teach guitar, I can do all these things, but I can have something steady. I was really concerned about steadiness at that point.
Of course, when you have a kid.
Yeah.
Of course.
I was really starting to think about that. And so for 3 years I did it, and it just grew and grew, and everything was good. And then the economy crashed in 2008, and I got laid off from that teaching job. I lost some regular gigs I had. And then also I lost a lot of students because their parents were losing their jobs. So everything was contracting. And of course, the first thing you cut is, music lessons, right?
Sure.
First thing the school cuts is that money they were putting towards the music teacher. Now we're going to put it towards something more, important or, in their minds. So really the whole YouTube thing came about. Well, I got laid off. I got called into the school. I got laid off. And plus I was losing a lot of other jobs and whatnot. So I was a little bummed out. And so this is, before I was doing anything on the internet really. But I drove home from getting laid off at the school, and I went into my little man cave in the garage, which then later became where I filmed all my first few thousand videos. But at that point, it was just a little where I kept all my guitar. It was like a tandem extra side on our garage. Mm-hmm. So it was like a 3-car garage, like one side, was 2 cars deep. So that was my man cave, was that deep back kind of storage area that had a couch, all my guitars and gear, because I gigged a lot. So I had a lot of gear.
You can keep gear in a garage? No, because I'm in Florida, and you could.
With the humidity?
Oh yeah, we couldn't.
No, it's fine.
I can't even keep chemicals. I'm reluctant to keep like anything in there. That's
now my dad lives on the beach. I wouldn't keep gear there. I'm in a spot where it's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool.
Actually, yeah. So I went home from getting laid off of that job and flipped up the camera on my laptop. I had a MacBook Pro, and I was starting to edit little baby videos of my daughter, so I was getting back into the editing kind of thing. And I was also using YouTube to host videos of my daughter to share to my mom, because you couldn't send a video file that big. So I was kind of already using YouTube as basically a file sharing
distribution.
Yeah. And I was using the camera, goofing around, making fun videos with my daughter. And so I went home and I flipped the camera up and I said, I'm just going to start trying to build a resume online on YouTube, and more as a calling card. Like when I would get a lead, I could say, "Oh, you can go to my YouTube channel."
Yeah,
it was very much a practical marketing, but not to create a business or anything like that. But the very first video I ever put up of me playing guitar on YouTube was the Beatles' "Don't Let Me Down," and it's still that first that little trigger in my mind where at this point, I had things where, I'd always learned that like when one door closes, another door opens.
Yeah.
By 2008, when I got laid off from that job, I had already had enough kind of life experience to know, hey, this is just I'm stressed and worried, but I'm going to channel that into action. I don't know what, but I'm going to take action. I'm not going to spend, I'll feel sorry for myself today.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to take action tomorrow. And so I made that video, and it's still up on YouTube, and I still like always perform that. Like when I played in New York recently with, I can put a band together and stuff. And I have a great singer friend of mine that I am friends and play with when I want to do stuff like that. So we always do "Don't Let Me Down" by the Beatles. And I kind of always tell the story. This is like the first video I ever made.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So I always keep that song in my mind as like the first thing. But honestly, all the YouTube videos I made were just with the laptop camera that you and I are using right now to speak, like the same thing. That's what I use.
I was just thinking that and you know what? Isn't it amazing? Like the quality here, like when, if we were speaking 10 years ago on Skype, it would be like, it would, like
Max headroom.
Yeah. It'd be like turning on a TV from the 60s,
Yeah.
and you got to bang the side of it or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really wild.
Yeah. So one other thing about the YouTube thing though, is when I did that, I mean, these things are all kind of connected together, and it's all 2008, a big change in 2008. But the other thing is with the students I had this very, what I thought at the time, super innovative idea. And so I would teach somebody, and at the end of the lesson for the last like 10 minutes, I'd just flip that laptop camera up, and I would film a condensed version of what we did in that lesson. Like, okay, here's the things we did. We worked on this exercise, so don't forget that. We did this Hendrix riff. Here's how it is. Goes really slow, so you can practice it, this and that. And then I would put it up on YouTube for the students to use and not to reach strangers, So I wasn't thinking that far out yet. And I do still remember the video I did for one of my students. Yeah, and so once again, it was like if a music store would call, or someone that had my business card would call, it'd be, once again, I'd say, well, you can actually see clips from my lessons on YouTube.
Yeah, here's the work I do, and this is what you could expect.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
That's pretty.
It's true. I was literally just trying to get students. It's like, what can I do to get some students? Because I need to pay some bills. It was like, but then each step of the way, similar to learning guitar too, it was like, I learned all the open chords and it was like, okay, that's cool. Okay, I'll learn a bar chord. Okay, I'll learn a scale. It was just kind of one thing led to the next, where it was like, I had little goals, and then I'd reach the goal and be like, oh, okay, it wouldn't hurt to maybe just do another little tiny goal. So the YouTube thing I started to build up some videos that they weren't titled right. There was no SEO thought, search engines. Not at all. It was just literally, I would make sure the student's name was in the title so the kid could find it, or the adult, whoever it was, so they could find it. But one day I did a lesson for one of my students, and it was Mississippi Queen by Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I titled it Mississippi Queen by Mountain for Tyler so-and-so. And that got a few, I mean, instead of 10 hits, it got 150 hits.
Which is
week.
Pretty, that's not a few, that's a dramatic difference.
Oh, especially when you're doing it one way and you see, whoa, what's different about this one than all the other ones? So then I was like, oh, well, shit, I got to start doing this. I don't know how you would make money in something like this, but once again, I was like, hey, if I get
150, I know that's better than 10. So let me just do it.
Yeah, I'll get more, and I'll put links to my website or to my email. Like, hey, you want lessons with me? And you couldn't do Skype lessons yet at the time,
right?
Which I'd never really done a lot of anyway, because things had already were happening before that was like a thing. But if I wouldn't have kind of fell into the YouTube thing, the way I did, I would probably do a lot more Skype lessons, and I enjoy teaching people. Like just for me, it's all now what your time is valued,
Of course,
and the time I'm making videos that are reaching so many people that it's just the time allotted in a day. The most important thing I can do is get back in here and film something and learn something for somebody and keep doing what I'm doing. Even the live shows that I do, I love doing it, but it's taking a lot of time away from the time I have to make videos and all that. But so one other thing. So basically, once I started getting a few hundred hits and realized that people not my private students were watching, then I started going, okay, how do you make money with this? And I went through the whole experience of learning about e-commerce and email marketing and all these different things. It sounds like you have a background in.
For 20 years.
Yeah. So I didn't know about any of that stuff. In fact, I was shocked that anyone bought from an email. I didn't even think that people did that because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I learned. But from there, I learned yada yada yada. I started to look into what that was, and I was not the first one doing it. I'm not the first one to make YouTube guitar lessons by any means. I'm not the first one, But I was really looking up to like Justin Sanderco at the time, and he was doing it. I mean, we were doing the same stuff, but he was like legitimately known when I was like just doing it like as a, on a much smaller level, trying to just get students and whatnot. So I was paying attention to him, and then there's just, you get, basically business found me.
Yeah.
The business part of it found me because I just kept doing what I was doing. And, just went through a lot of interesting, lessons over, it's been 10 years now. So besides still being passionate about guitar, I still just play guitar because I love it. It's a therapeutic thing for me. It's like the thing that I do, and so I still love that.
Do you find sometimes it's hard to, like, I listen to music all the time, but since I started the show, I now have to listen to certain, like if I'm having someone on the show, I want to listen to, and so to some extent, like listening to music in a little bit, it's become a drag because I can't like pick and choose what I want to hear sometimes. And like when you have to do something versus when you want to do something, has playing guitar a little bit like that, and where you have to say, I got to be in the right headspace to sit and like enjoy.
For sure. There's absolutely truth in that. Yeah. I'm sure, a professional athlete gets sick of batting practice sometimes, or the workout, the 5 a.m. workouts and all that stuff. Next thing you know, you're just like, whoa, I don't know even what I feel anymore. But no, so there's truth in that. The fact that I started, in my mind, I kind of started over. Yes, I had a following, but when I started Marty Music, I went into it with 0 subscribers, zero videos, zero content all across the board. I literally started at 0. So that's been less than 3 years. So I've been so driven to start it and to do it that I feel I'm not burned out or anything. Like I'm just still the fact that I'm watching it grow, and it's all, it's me by myself doing it. I'm so driven for it right now that maybe, I don't know. That's so maybe I was feeling that way before Marty Music, but the fact that I kind of am trying to prove that I could do this on my own, there's something about that where it's like this life call, I have this life calling drive that it's like, you're not going to stop me. I'm very driven to do it. And I'll tell you one thing as far as listening to music. I don't know if you do this, but this will be good for any of my people that watch me. Something that's been really awesome lately are the smart playlists on Spotify. The more you listen to Spotify and songs that come up that you like, the smarter that algorithm will become, and it plays stuff for you that you just hadn't heard in a long time, or that you're like, that's been something really cool. And I'm also trying to let it dictate what songs to teach sometimes.
I was just going to say, there you go.
Yeah. So like I do a live stream every Saturday, and it's about a 10-minute drive to my studio from home. I put that Spotify on, and I hope that something sparks my like little imagination to like open up with that song or that riff or whatever. And it's been amazing. I'm really inspired by it.
That's pretty cool. I have a few. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, move around. Oh, I was just going to say the latest one. I don't know how long before this airs from when we're talking.
Anytime I could drop it, whatever you want. But let's say 2 to 4 weeks, whatever.
Just because the latest one was "You Got to Fight for Your Right to Party" by Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys, yeah.
Like I just there's a billion songs out there, so I'm driving to the office,
and that's a great riff to teach too.
Yeah. So I'm driving to the office. It's on shuffle, and that one comes up, and I'm like, oh my god, I never thought about teaching that one, and it's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah, it is. It's not complicated. It's
not hard.
It's really powerful and good energy in there, man.
Dude, it's awesome. So
very cool.
So that's something though, as far as like something that's helped me stay inspiring, is that Spotify is not my music collection.
Right.
Like reading things that I choose to like. I say, I like this one. And then it goes, oh, if you like this one, how about this?
Right.
And it's been really cool. Another great song that I hadn't thought about in forever is Amarina by Elton John. It's an amazing song.
Oh, that's a really old song. It's a really pretty song.
Yeah.
Really
so anyway.
Pretty. So I had a few questions, a few thoughts came up. What's the most popular video that you've dropped as far as in terms of number of views? What song?
Yeah, what's really interesting is that is a sliding, changing scale.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, the go-to would be like Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. But I'm pretty excited to say that my number one performing video as we speak is actually just me giving you your very first guitar lesson at Marty Music.
Oh, that's cool.
Your beginner lesson. So that's actually my number one video right now. And that feels good that it's not a famous song, but it's just me teaching, which I'm happy. But it would be your usual suspects, but I'll tell you because I actually look at my analytics every day. It's Nothing Else Matters. Nothing Else Matters. Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Hotel California. Stairway to Heaven. And I will say this, my top 10 performing videos on Marty Music are all acoustic. Top 10.
So your audience is baby boomers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. My number one demo on YouTube is actually 18 to 24.
And they're listening to Hotel California, Wish You Were Here, and Stairway to Heaven.
Well, that could be misconstrued because 75% of my viewers are not subscribed. So unless they're saying what they're those viewers would still have.
So what you're saying, what's probably going on based on what you're saying is that you've got tons of baby boomers watching that, but the subscription base skews younger.
I have to go back on that. As I think about it, I'm wrong because you would still know that person's demographic. I'm just confusing like the analytics. Whether they're telling me just my subscriber base age,
no, they're telling
my viewers' age.
I think it's viewership.
I would have to look right now because there's so many detailed analytics. But if you just like looked at my analytics on YouTube, my number one is 18 to 24.
Interesting.
And then the next one would be like, up to 55. Now, when I meet people at the NAMM show or this guitar lesson conference thing, it's baby boomers. Yeah. I always joke like it's too bad I'm not attracted to middle-aged men because I would do really well.
Okay.
But I also took that from like I saw Joe Bonamassa in concert, and I've seen him a bunch of times, but it was like he ended a song, the audience is clapping, and then the audience, you got that little quiet moment where in between the next song, and some dude screams out, "I love you, Joe!" And Joe Bonamassa goes, "God, I wish you were a woman." Because that's just the joke. Like, and even when I'm used to like meeting dudes and the wife is like, "Oh, you're the one that You know, a lot of wives, like, I haven't, and they look at me in a negative way because I'm taking away the attention of their husband sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're the one that my husband's spending all that time with, or, you know, that kind of thing. So I get the whole, like, you know, the baby boomers, the old dudes, loving guitar. Now, one thing that skews to the baby boomers is that they have more money to spend. So
Yeah, much more
like,
disposable income.
so definitely, like, anyone that's like bought a course from me or bought something from me or paid a ticket for an event, those all skew very high because millennials aren't used to paying for anything. But they're watching me for free, and I'm trying. My female demographic is up, and also I'm loving Greta Van Fleet because of the young people that are messaging me about them.
Right.
So just to let an audience out there know, like, from my perspective, I get really excited by something that's inspiring young kids to play guitar. And Greta Van Fleet's probably the biggest one I've seen in years.
In a while. Yeah, for sure.
As far as kids, like, I'm saying, as far as feedback I get, like, in private messages and Facebook and Instagram, like, when I even mention Greta Van Fleet, or the amount of requests I get is humongous, and it's all young kids. So that's just a good thing for all guitarists should happy about that, even if they don't like the music or whatever.
A couple other questions based on some of the stuff you just talked about. One thing I just want to point out is that, you know, a lot of guitar players and people in general who listen to this, I think what, you know, your process of what happened is a very realistic example, because a lot of times you'll talk to people and about anything, whether it's, you know, working out or starting a business or doing marketing, like, oh, it's so much to do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Just do one thing, you know, and I think your example is a good one. You're like, you didn't sit on this, like, oh, before I start and put a video up, you know, let me take a course on marketing. Let me take a course on SEO. Let me take a course on, you know, copywriting, demographic. You just put a video up, and then you started getting some feedback. Say, oh, I noticed this change. Let me look into search engine optimization. Oh, I noticed this change. Let me look into some analytics. And I think that's really important to point that out, that shit happens one step at a time, you know. And I think the problem a lot of people have is like, oh, I can't do this. Man, you could do one thing. That's all you need to do.
I totally agree. And when I talk, you know, give advice to people, you know, a lot, you know, let's just say in my field, like, a musician wants to create a website or have a course with lessons and teach people and all that stuff. It's like, I had the same frame of mind before that journey, which was, I'm going to create the best, you know, DVD set of lessons ever before I even create a business.
Right.
And that's the complete opposite of actually the most effective way to do it, which is reaching people. They'll tell you, in fact,
yes.
I didn't even sell a course for almost a year when I kind of started to get a following. So I wasn't making money at all. It was basically like, now, you know, in retrospect, it was basically like, and I tell people this, they'll tell you, they'll tell you that they want courses from you.
Correct.
If you don't have, you know, a bunch of people demanding something, like, you know, then do the thing that's going to make them demand something, then make that thing. So in other words, like, I was doing this YouTube thing. I didn't have a fancy site or DVDs or anything. I was like doubling down every day, trying to reach more and more people. And I knew that eventually I would figure out kind of the next step to take. But yeah, you got to just take action. And the other thing is, the mistakes lead you to pivot into the right direction, right? So you're not going to create something perfectly before it launches. You got to, like, get out there, and then you got to pivot, you know, like any sports team, they're adapting the whole game to other team, you know, and you're constantly trying to find. Yeah,
you're making halftime adjustments. So, like, you know, totally, man, that's a really good. And then the one other thing that you mentioned that I wanted to ask you about, I'm having a brain fart.
That's all right. I do that.
Sorry, I forgot. No, it's funny when you said it. Do I have a? I'm like old school, man. I don't Spotify at all. I listen to everything on iTunes. I'm like a dinosaur, man. My kids. My kids laugh at me.
Yeah, musicians get angry about the Spotify payouts and all that, blah 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 blah. So the bottom line is, if you feel the need to support your favorite artists, by all means, buy their vinyl, buy their albums or whatever. But it doesn't mean that Spotify's not like an incredible tool.
It's great.
And I'm a
convert.
convert. I was not. I did not. I'd say only the last 2 years has it gotten really good, Spotify, for me. And the other thing is the app that I use to slow riffs down and stuff, to learn songs. The app I use works with Spotify now, so that's just all the even better, because I used to have to get the MP3 or buy a WAV file and then put it into an app and slow it down. Now I can just immediately pick something from Spotify. And the other thing is,
wow, that is pretty cool.
Here's the other thing that's been amazing for Spotify for me, is that the gigs that I have done this summer, I never have enough time to put like proper rehearsals together. Different musicians are in different parts of the country, and I'm just basically winging it, throwing it together. So when I come up with a set list, I create a Spotify playlist and I share the link with all the musicians. So I'm playing tomorrow. I'm going up to the Bay Area, and I'm playing tomorrow night at Terrapin Crossroads, which is owned by Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead.
That's pretty cool.
So anyway, me and these musicians, we all know each other and have jammed, but we're having zero rehearsals. So at the beginning last weekend, we created a playlist on Spotify that we all have access to. And now you can I know right away, I just go through the songs right there on the playlist. So, I mean, you could do that with iTunes, but the fact that
I don't know if you could share it so easily.
Right.
Yeah,
also, like some random cover that someone doesn't own in their library, you can just immediately put it in that playlist. It's just amazingly convenient for the kind of stuff, I don't know. I'm most impressed with the smart playlist.
Very cool.
I think that's the, and when I've met like smart music industry people, that's the thing they talk about with it.
The smart playlist.
Or the
algorithm.
The algorithm and the way it, collects people's habits and knows, because it'll pick deep cuts for you. It won't just pick like the pop hits like Pandora. It'll pick some nice stuff the more you use it.
That's a great word, algorithm. It's like a really good word to use. Like, well, why is this happening? It's the algorithm. Oh, okay.
I got another good millennial word, because all the people I have the network I'm on that help me with my higher end content. They're all in their 20s. So another good millennial word is curate.
Curate. Yes. We're going to curate it now. The algorithm hasn't curated it yet. So like since 2000, man, the way technology, I was going to say since you started in 2008, but really maybe even over the last 2.5 years, because tech moves so quick. What have been like the biggest changes in either what you do or what you've seen, either in your marketplace, your messaging, whatever, just changes that readily come out to you?
I think it's much harder to just like be random on YouTube. In other words, just pick, I'm going to do a video today, or I don't know what I'm going to do, like that kind of thing. Like, I think,
you mean be random and be successful with it.
Yeah. I think it's very much has to be, you have to have a strategy now.
Yeah.
And I had really smart young, the CEO of the network I'm on is like literally 27 years old. I'm 43, by the way, out there in the podcast universe.
A baby.
Yeah, right. We're all on the we're all on the path, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've just been here this long. That's how long I've been here. But no, all these really smart, bright young people, very inspiring. They helped me come up with a strategy for Marty Music, and it was a lot of time put into it, a lot of meetings, brainstorming, dry eraser ink boards with circles and buckets and the word curate a lot and all that stuff. But they helped me come up with a strategy that really opened my eyes. So I would say the last 2.5 years, from the time Marty Music started, it had a completely different strategy than in the past. In the past, I just did as much as I could do. And it was a lot. but I've really seen the benefit of I treat the Marty Music YouTube channel as its own kind of its own TV station, for guitar geeks. So you're going to get lessons, you're going to get some editorial information, you're going to get some interviews. Obviously, the lessons are the bread and butter. So no matter what, I consider that the most important, always, forever. But I diversified by adding other content to reach other corners of the fringe. Watch me,
Yeah.
And I also, just from studying analytics, learned that people watch, if they love love the lessons, they tend to actually watch longer when I'm just doing talking about guitars or not trying to intimidate someone with a lesson. So that, some of the content people have seen that have been added is because of what I've studied in the analytics.
Yeah.
But I will say that my strategy for the most part has not changed. I came out with a strategy 2 years ago and then looked at the things that were doing really well and, added content based on what was doing really well.
How many videos in the last 2.5 years have you put out?
Well, on YouTube, it's close to 800.
Holy fuck.
But during before Marty Music launched, I think we're talking April 2016. During that time, I also started making a bunch of
courses.
I all I know is it was at the same time that Marty Music started, I also started making courses that didn't release for another year. So when I wasn't doing lessons, I would jump in and do I had all the kind of syllabuses and categories mapped out on paper. So I would do a lesson or I'd do a couple songs, and then I'd make a chapter from a course. So if you add those into the mix, it's got to be about close to 1,500 individual videos.
Yeah, man. So let me just say this. I've created content in businesses on and off for the last 20 years. And I can tell you right now, you're working. Fuck. And that is, and I know in the beginning you didn't have an editor probably, so you're editing yourself, which is
I still don't.
You edit yourself still, a lot of your
I
stuff?
do everything myself, but I have a thing called Guitar Tours where it's a 3-camera, more TV looking thing.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, where we talk about people's guitar collections. I'm very proud of it. Very, very happy with it. I don't produce that,
That's cool though. But I mean, the amount of, and people, unless you've done content, it's the editing that kills you, man. It's the same.
I spend more time in front of a computer than with a guitar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Kudos to you, man. 800 lead gen videos and another 600.
Let me go back to saying this. I am driven.
Well, I mean,
I have a lot of motivation. Let's put it that way.
No, I get it. I totally get it. But that's great, man. I mean, that's good work. Did you always have this work ethic?
With things that I was really into, yes. So there was a time where I was pretty good at Little League baseball. So I would go to the batting practice, I would go to the batting cages and stuff like that. But I mean, if it was math or something that I would totally do the minimum to get by. I tried to, I got pretty good grades in high school, but if it was something that art, art class or if I could edit a video for a project in school, where I could make a little movie, a Spanish movie for Spanish class, I would go all in. I made the whole in Spanish. They played it for all the other Spanish classes. I made in Spanish class, you'd make I don't think I've told this story, which is good, but in Spanish class, make a video where you speak Spanish. And so you would the typical video would be hola.
Yeah, me llamo. Yeah.
Es mi bedroom, that's my bed.
Yeah.
El baño, and just make it in 5 minutes to get it done with. When I had a chance to do something that I was excited about, because I thought I was going to make movies. I wasn't a musical kid. I thought I wanted to make movies. So when I had a chance to do something like that, we made the
Would you like Hamlet in fucking Spanish or something?
Yeah, no, like Scarface. Like there was like a drug deal had gone wrong, and I used, like I had like bags of flour, like for cocaine, like, and it was like Panama Hat guy, and like the drug switch, and the tourist, and the karate fight, and the crime boss getting gunned down. I mean, the whole thing, like they couldn't even believe it. Like I spent, probably 2 weeks on it because it was just so fun. We were just having so much fun doing it and cracking ourselves up that it ended up becoming out of control, ambitious.
That's really cool.
They kept that for years at that Spanish class. And so, yeah, I would say things like that I would get super into. And then when I realized the guitar wasn't as hard as I had told myself, and that girls really liked guitar as well, I really didn't need much more than that, and then just, it was cool. You were cool. Like you were immediately cooler. If you could play some guitar, you were cooler.
Yeah.
So, you didn't have to work, I didn't have to go to the gym or I didn't have to, get plastic surgery. I could just start playing guitar. I didn't have to get caffeine.
Hey man, that's your next info product. How to be great, how to be good looking without going on a diet, without getting plastic surgery, and without even, not even having to speak to women.
I got to tell you, it's true though.
Good for you, man.
But then that was super motivating. Just all I had to do was learn one extra chord, and I could play that favorite song of mine. And then all I had to do was learn one little thing at a time, and I kept getting better. And so I got super into it.
Oh, now I remember what I was going to ask or mention before. You said, I doubled down, and I think that's another important concept. Like once things start going well, or like you sense there's some momentum, that's the time to double down, man. And you think you're working hard, increase it, because that's, you're getting that plane off. You're getting that momentum to get that plane off the ground, man.
Yeah, and I had a lot of irons in the fire. When YouTube was happening for me, I was trying a million different things. I mean, I was willing to go back to school. I was willing to go. I mean, I already had my real estate license. My dad and brother are in the insurance industry. I was like, do I go to like insurance school? Like, I had all these different things going on, and that just exploded.
Yeah.
And fortunately, because I really would not be happy with a desk job.
You wouldn't be happy selling property and casualty insurance or life insurance?
Well, I would. If I had to, I would. You know, that was the thing that I was willing to do. Because, honestly, once you have kids, they're like lesson to lesson, check to check. Oh, the gig got canceled, or, oh, this guy hasn't paid me yet. Like, it's just not.
It's stressful, man.
It's very stressful. Yeah. It's like very much adds to your, unhealthy life, of anxiety.
No, I know. I got 3. Believe me. I feel you. Yeah. I don't know if you're comfortable answering this question. If not, that's totally cool. Biggest mistake you made since you first started?
Let's see. Since I started, I would say, it's totally fine I can answer this one. I would just say, it's, you want to know everything that's going on. Never, just never rely on someone, quote unquote, taking care of it for you. Yeah. And that's not to, I'm not even talking about trust or not trust.
Sure.
Like you want to know every detail of what's going on, whether it's business or your life or whatever. Like, don't let other people, anytime I'm saying, I took care of that for you, or, oh, don't worry, that's my thing, I got that. You want to know, you want to make sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
Good.
But it's very, very much just paying attention, paying attention to every detail, even if it's not like the part of your job or the part of what you do. How's that?
That's great.
How'd I do?
You did good, man. That was A+. Flip side of that, coolest unexpected thing that happened since you started?
There's a lot. God, just like hearing from people who have, tell you an amazing way that you've helped them or changed their life, because I already feel like I have the greatest job in the world without hearing that kind of stuff. So like, we're talking kids with cancer and 9/11 first responders who were suicidal because of their health issues and started playing guitar. The more ego pumping kind of stuff is like celebrities and athletes who you hear from, and that's just been a thrill. Like I'm a huge I've been a just giant Tenacious D and Jack Black fan forever, and I was at the NAMM show when I was first kind of starting to happen for me, and Kyle Gass from Tenacious D, the other guy from Tenacious D.
The other guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love him as much as Jack, but
no, I know what you're saying though. Yeah,
to the uninitiated, the other guy from Tenacious D, and he very much
totally get it.
He plays that role very much. But I was in the middle of like filming a YouTube video on the NAMM floor, and he, crashed the video and was like, "Don't watch Marty, watch me," like a funny thing. Watch my channel instead. And then that to me was just such a thrill. But then they contacted me a few days later, and I ended up getting to hang out with Tenacious D. So like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was just like crazy. And Jack Black was there, and the whole thing. I got to hang out with the Boston Red Sox at a batting practice. Some basketball players. Dirk Nowitzki apparently watches my videos.
Oh, that's great, man.
Weird stuff like that I never thought of. And then I have privately taught like in person and kind of, become friendly with at least Jason Statham.
Oh, wow.
You look a lot like him, I gotta say.
No, man, that guy's in great shape. I mean, I'm in okay shape, but he's
in amazing shape.
He's probably not much younger than me either. I think he's probably like what, about 50?
I think he's 51.
Yeah, so I'm 54. So yeah, he's in great shape, that dude.
Yeah, so he sought me out. Like he had his assistant track me down. And
hey, Marty.
Yeah. No, it was actually really like that. It was
Don't talk, really just listen.
Yeah.
I love him as an actor.
No, he's amazing, and he's a really cool dude. And his dad's a crooner. His dad's a singer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and his dad, who's like the suit, like the 85-year-old version of him.
Yeah,
shaved head, black turtleneck with like a gold medallion.
Yeah, I could just see that actually.
It was amazing. And his brother plays guitar, so it was something he was actually always really passionate about, just never played.
Very cool, man.
So he started watching some videos and then kind of was like, well, shit, let me at least try if I can get him. And of course I said yes. And, but it was cool. I got to go, I've been to his house a bunch of times and met his beautiful.
Oh, he lives out in California?
Well, he has a place in California.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. But, he's got this beautiful Victoria's Secret model wife. And
that is really unexpected.
I know it's to them.
I'm shocked to hear that.
Well, it's the Leonardo DiCaprio joke, but like when he wakes up, the Victoria's Secret catalog is brought to him. It's literally a catalog for him. It's the catalog.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's like, oh, they sell like Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, they actually sell this lingerie? I just thought it was I thought these were my Victoria's Secret girls that I get to choose from.
That's funny, man.
So that was cool, and I rang his buzzer on his gate, and he came running out, and he was so excited that I was there and so excited to play guitar. And then as I got to know him, I've had jam sessions where it was like me and him on guitar and his dad singing.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. Like Righteous Brothers. And I mean, just crazy little adventures where you go, oh my God, pinch me. I can't believe, these are the weird things that can happen.
Yeah. Very cool.
You never think about it. But obviously I have to go with the more like.
Okay, Jason Statham or Kid with Cancer? Which one, man?
I know. See, The kid, well, I got to say, Jason Statham's way sexier story.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I watched him. My wife's from the UK, so we always watch all these old. Where like you can't understand him unless you're almost from England. So I've been watching him a long time. That's so funny.
He's great, man. He's a
great actor.
Cool dude. Super cool dude. Super cool guy. Super friendly guy. I don't know. I mean, he's. He sought me out. Is that the right word? Sought? He sought me out. So I would imagine he'd be nicer than someone that he didn't seek out, Yeah.
Very cool.
But he was
man.
super cool.
Are you working on anything now, like new that you're excited about? I know you got the guitar tours thing.
Yeah. So guitar tours is something that I, put a lot of energy into, and I just came back from Nashville. I've been to Nashville again since you and I have met.
Really? It's a great place, man. It's a lot of fun.
Amazing.
People are so nice there.
So I filmed 6 episodes just recently, and 2 females, which I'm really excited about as well. Lindsay L., who is this great Nashville guitar player, singer, songwriter, and another girl named Juno, who plays with Camila Cabello and all these pop acts. And she was literally a social worker 8 years ago. And the first, she's younger than me, but so when she was, becoming a social worker, her name's Juno. You can find her on Instagram. She's got a big Instagram, Juno, the guitarist. Very charismatic, very firecracker. She was a social worker, and her first patient or client was a 15-year-old heroin addict who wouldn't talk to her, but he really was into guitar. So she went home that night and said, I'm going to learn a little bit of guitar so I can relate to the guy, and maybe he'll open up to me.
And now she's a professional guitarist?
So she learned from my videos.
That's wild.
And I guess had a knack for it. And then eventually she, as she got, maybe a couple years in, she just kind of took off on it. She started making Instagram videos. And now, don't get me wrong, she's very charismatic. She has that it factor, So it's much more than just guitar chops, especially to play in a pop act, like
for sure.
Group guitar player is going to be different than, a session guitar player like Tim Pierce or whatever. But she started making Instagram videos, and like literally the girl group that Camila Cabello was in, Harmony, can't remember girl groups out there. They called her, and she became their guitar player, and she's been a pro ever since. She's also on the show Empire.
That's wild.
It's crazy. But so that's back to, I think, one of your early questions about like unexpected things for me is that, now I've been doing this for 10 years. So that means that now there's people that are professionals that maybe started with my videos or, and I don't take credit for anyone's playing. Don't get me wrong. It's whoever is playing, they did it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it was up to them to do it, but I was happy that my information was there and they could understand it. But it's always the person that does it. I don't take that much credit.
That's cool, man. Growing up, you said you grew up in Newport Beach?
Yeah.
What was your childhood like?
Let's see. Well, it was Newport is super like hoity-toity now. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was just like, we were not like super rich, but not poor either, my parents. Mm-hmm. But it was just like a nice greenbelt, suburban, kids on bikes, like E.T. It was literally like E.T., like that kind of thing. Great friends. In fact, I actually still play music with some of the friends I've had since that time.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. So I still have all the same, like all my best friends I literally knew since I was probably 5 years old. And we have a nice group of friends where we talk to each other on WhatsApp, every day.
That's nice.
Group feed. So that was real nice. My parents divorced when I was 8. And they both stayed in Orange County, and I still had, any divorce can have, can have issues and things like that. And my dad got married again real quick, and my mom eventually remarried years later and all that. And I can sit here as a 43-year-old and say I, have no regrets about anything. And
That's
I'm close.
cool.
I'm close with my family. I have an older sister and younger brother, and a good family.
So you're the middle kid, man.
Yeah, yeah. Although I have, my dad had a son with his second wife, so that's another brother I have. But then there's stepsisters, and when you start to get into that, then it's all complicated. But just straight up, as my parents were married for 15 years, so yeah, I was the middle kid. Yeah,
that's wild. They always say I have three. My middle one I think he has middle kid syndrome. I don't know. You don't seem like you have middle kid syndrome.
Well, where they want all the attention? No,
that's the little one. God, no.
So what's the middle one?
I don't know. Middle, they like feel neglected because they were the second, the oldest gets the, he's or she is generally the pain in the ass. And then the little one comes, and then the middle one, he's like the apple of your eye for a little while, and then another one comes, and then he gets booted again because now you got to deal with that one. So I think it's, they feel like they need more, or they weren't given a fair shot.
Oh, there's definitely. I think those stereotypes are true. I can say for me though that my sister's 5 years older. So she was always in a different phase of life than I was. And I'm actually 7 years older than my brother. So
that's really spread out. Yeah.
So he was more like my apprentice. Not my
yeah.
He plays guitar. He's, I showed him everything I knew that was cool. And then he took it to the next phase. He's got great friends and great taste. He plays guitar, but he doesn't do it for a job. And we're super close. So it was always more like I was looking out for him because of the 7-year difference. It's more like I was almost like had more of a fatherly connection.
I totally get that, man.
Yeah. And I taught him guitar. He's my first guitar student.
There you go, man. Most of the music you play is blues rooted or blues based. Was that your thing ever since? Was that what you were drawn to initially?
What's funny is if I wouldn't have gotten advice or fell into it the way I did, if it would have just been totally up to me. And I'm glad it wasn't. I was more like into funk and soul, and I was in some funk bands. But the main thing with blues, I'll tell you, it's a trade secret, is that, I'll give it away because we're way deep into the podcast at this point. Blues, you could sell as a course.
Absolutely. It's the easiest one to sell. Most of it, there's the biggest demand.
But also because you couldn't sell like a copywritten song. You couldn't sell a course on how to play Sweet Home Alabama without having to basically, it was impossible to do that. You couldn't, even if you wanted the license to do it, you couldn't get one. So, with the concept was, everything was free on YouTube. And then I could sell you how to play blues.
But let me ask you this from an IP.
But I mean, it's the core of everything I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like a jazz player that plays blues to make money. It's that language that you can teach without any copyright and sell it. And it's also the core of rock and roll.
I'm going to ask you one teaching question. What do you advise people to do in their practicing that most people tend to skip over?
Well, the number one thing, and I say it over and over, and it's hard for me to do too, is just practice things super slow. And no one wants to do it. We have no patience for it, including myself. But as soon as I step back and remind myself, I get whatever it is I'm trying to do that much faster. Now that means, speed it up eventually, but to actually get something down, you got to do it. The fastest way to get like a riff down or a song down is to literally deconstruct it down super, super slow and then speed it up. And it's the hardest thing to get people to do.
So they get it right.
Yeah. It's so much easier to get something super slow and then speed it up than to try it at full speed without having it down yet. It's crazy how much easier it is.
I do that, but I'm old, so I don't mind going slow. I mean, I'm serious. I don't know. No, I'm serious. I'm like really comfortable at this stage of my life. Like, 20 years ago, would I have wanted to go slow? No, probably not.
Yeah. Have you seen Brandon Niederauer, Taz.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah,
He's pretty good guitar
phenomenal
player, man.
Yeah, phenomenal. But so like him, for instance, he's 14 years old. Like he shreds. He's playing a lot of notes right now.
He really is.
But and I, he sat in with me in New York, so I got to watch it a few inches away from him, and he really did blow my mind. I wouldn't even tell him to slow down, because when at his age, if he can do what he can do at this age, he'll get it out of his system, like he has so much talent that he just needs to get all those notes out right now, and he'll eventually get back into that.
Is he really just 14?
Yeah.
That's really weird, man.
I've never seen anything like it. And when I first heard about him, they said the same thing to me. I've never seen anything like it. And he's already played with more of my heroes than I have. So
he's played with Warren Haynes.
Yeah, he's doing fine. He's doing amazing. But I will say this: he did learn songs for the first time from me. Like that's how.
Did he really?
That's how he started. Yeah. He
another Marty music success story.
Well, he once again, it's all him, man. Like would never take credit for that monster. Like I'm just glad that the info was there for him, because he's, like I said, he's one of a kind. I've never seen anything like it. I know Joe Bonamassa was like that. Child prodigy, kind of thing. I don't know Joe, but I would love for Joe to help Taz just with some mentorship as far as transitioning from like whiz kid to professional, because the problem with Taz is just that it's all like those baby boomers are like most of the people watching it. Right. So how do we get younger people to get excited by him,
Yeah.
But no, he's so special. Great kid. Dad's a real nice guy. Big time classic rock fan. So yeah, I can't say enough about how amazing he is.
Yeah, I've seen him it's pretty intense that I didn't realize he was that young. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, let's talk about gear for a few minutes.
Okay.
And I hope the Fiesta Red is one of these answers, because I love that guitar. I want to talk about it.
It is. I saw the question. So there is definitely Fiesta Red fits into one of the answers.
Great. What's your go-to guitar right now? And what other two guitars round out your top three?
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. Now we're getting into the easy questions.
Yeah. That gets hard again. Don't worry.
No, it's fine. No, my go-to is my Heritage 535. I've just gigged with it the most. I've had the most adventures with it before YouTube happened. Plus I'm I love the semi-hollow body, just style guitar. You can get so many cool sounds out of it. I would say my second would be the Fiesta Red Strat.
Is that a custom Strat?
It's a custom shop. And one of your questions was about any stories about acquiring one of my guitars. Yeah, and so that would be the one, because I don't know how many years ago, maybe like 6 years ago, I got asked to be in this TV pilot, which was going to be like a Anthony Bourdain with music. And I did film the pilot and had actually met had pitch meetings with some networks and stuff, but it wasn't my show. Like I was the host. Do you know what I'm saying? So, all I was the hired host of the show. It wasn't going to be anything more than that. So that's why no one's seen it. But we filmed the pilot in New York, and I was with this guitar collector named Al Romano, who I met originally through Tenacious D. So he was a real character. And just this guy from Yonkers, New York, with this insane guitar collection. Like, he had Hendrix Parlor Acoustic. He had handwritten lyrics from Hendrix. He had the Band of Gypsies, Fuzz Octavia from Band of Gypsies. He had, a 59 Les Paul, Sunburst, just this insane collection. And so we were filming this thing where he was going through all these guitars of his collection. And while we're rolling, he says, "Oh, Marty, do you have a good Strat?" And all the crew behind him that he couldn't see were saying, pantomiming, say no, say no, to say you don't have a good Strat. So I was like, yeah, no, not really. And he was like, oh, check this one out. And he was all excited, and he pulled that Fiesta Red out of the case, and he was like, look at this, this is, 62 reissue with this and that, and Fiesta Red, which is my favorite Strat color.
It's just a beautiful color, and it's got the mint green pick guard. Oh, it's with the rosewood.
So he handed it to me, and he said, check it out. So I started playing it. I'm like, oh God, this thing's amazing. And he's like, all right, well, it's yours. I want you to have it. I want you to keep it. And I was like, are you kidding? Oh my God.
He just gave you a guitar?
Yeah, we barely knew each other. And he just said, yeah, I want you to have it. And so I've always tried to play it as much as possible. Basically.
Wow.
Because, that kind of mojo and good karma and stuff,
Yeah.
Like I try and play it as much as possible. And it's just an awesome guitar.
I love that guitar, man. That's the guitar I want, the Fiesta Red with the
I love it.
Aged
and
pickguard.
What I will say, though, is I have an old Martin from the 70s that was in all my old videos it was my dad's, and he gave it to me. And my mom bought that for him for a wedding anniversary gift before they were divorced.
That's nice, man.
Yeah. And so my dad ended up giving it to me. So that's like the nostalgic one. That one that one's at home. That one's at my house. And I also work with Taylor guitars, and they make great guitars. So, I have mostly Taylors in my acoustic lessons now, but the Martin is the most sentimental one. Like if that's the one to rescue, fire.
That's it. The Martin. Yeah. Well, it's your dad's. Come on. Of course.
Yeah. You got it. It's got to be the one.
Are there any players who influence your playing that people would be surprised to hear about?
Well, I always say one of the most underrated guitar solos is Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's this amazing guitar solo. Yeah,
I know it. It's a slower solo. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, it's just this awesome melodic solo. So that's always one that I point out to people how good it is, because you don't think of it because it's like an 80s pop song.
Who's playing that?
It's the lead singer. I can't remember his name, but he's the one doing the solo. So it's not like Steve Lukather or something like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, all my others are the usual suspects, like Hendrix and Clapton, and I love John Scofield. His album that he did with Medeski, Martin and Wood in the 90s, I was still like very much a guitar student, really practicing and all that. So I played a lot to his album A Go-Go. So that's one where I really took a lot of licks. So if Scofield, you would know that if you heard the licks of his I'm copying. But there's a fantastic, amazing guitar player named Eric Krasno
from Lettuce. Right?
Yeah, on Soul Alive. Yeah. I mean, we're friends, and we have a mutual friend. Like his high school buddy ended up being my college buddy, and we're all musical. So there is a thing with where I met Eric Krasno, like 12 or 20 years ago, 23 years ago, when we were both still in college. And because of my friend Josh, who is our mutual friend, who I was playing with in college, my friend Josh was always like, yeah, Marty, you're pretty good, but you're nothing like, I mean, no offense, but you're not, you're nowhere near like this guy Kraz, who's like the best I've ever heard. And, we're like 19 years old at the time. And so Josh would always compare me to this guy Kraz, who was this mythical character that I didn't know him, or I hadn't heard him either. The internet wasn't even a thing.
The internet.
No, I mean, we're talking like.
Oh, I know. It's just so funny how the internet.
Like 94 is what we're talking about. So yes, the internet was an invention, but it wasn't something that we all had laptops out to like, oh, let's look at his MySpace page or whatever, right?
What's his Instagram?
Yeah, or any of that stuff. So Eric Krasno ended up coming out and staying with us for a week, and so I got to watch him in action and see someone that was like, I mean, obviously he's better now than 20 years ago, but I mean, he was like almost fully formed at 18 years old back then. So he was just another one of those kind of Taz, Brandon Niederauer special kind of things.
Right.
But because of that impact that it made on me, and none of us knew what we were going to do with our lives. We were kids. that made an impact on me. And because of our mutual friend, a lot of the same like influences were listened to by us because of the mutual friend. So like all the Herbie Hancock funk records that he did, like Headhunters, that whole era of like super funky stuff. That's really like the catalyst for Lettuce, because they all met at summer program for Berkeley.
Okay.
When they were seniors in high school, they Lettuce.
That's cool.
And then when they all kind of had their own careers going, they put Lettuce back together. But I would say that like, there's definitely a connection there. And, I've stolen a bunch of his licks, and, if you knew him, you would hear that I had done that as well. But yeah, it's definitely that like, the Meters and James Brown and all that like more funk R&B. And then on the other side, you'd have Stevie Ray Vaughan and Hendrix and Clapton and B.B. King and the Allman Brothers were huge for me. I discovered the Dickie Betts scale, back, and that was like, and that was like a magical discovery. So that was huge for me. And then Jerry Garcia, and because of our age, like Fish. I was a college student when Fish was exploding, and all that improvising and great guitar playing from Trey. But yeah, I'm not a Randy Rhoads or Eddie Van Halen guy. I started playing a little bit after that. I liked those guys, but I wasn't really playing guitar at their peak of fame and like power over the popular culture. So I kind of came along more in the 90s jam band.
Well, it's a totally different vibe. The people you like, it's just a different vibe too.
Yeah, it's just what I like. I don't know. I just gravitate towards that classic rock kind of stuff.
Do you remember the first CD you ever got?
I remember being so excited that CD players were becoming a thing. And I want to say it was, funny enough, I think it was Aerosmith Pump.
That is funny.
With Janie's Got a Gun and all that. And then definitely Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever. And it's just, I would imagine those came out the same year, because I remember like getting the new CD player and like having a little bit of money saved up from a birthday or something and going to the CD store. And I think those were the two I bought. And it was because they were brand new, it was like on MTV and stuff. I was definitely a product of like going home from school, the top 10 countdown on MTV, Paradise City being on, like Guns N' Roses constantly, Red Hot Chili Peppers a little bit later, and then obviously Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that stuff.
All right. This is a tough one, man. Desert Island Discs. Top three in no particular order, just for right now. You could change tomorrow. So like,
of course. What
would be your knee-jerk reaction?
I've learned to let these go a little bit more. So I'm just going to go right away with Axis, Bold as Love.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got to do, it gets really hard because then I got to do a Beatles. And I'm just going to say, I think Let It Be might have the most songs that I still jam on. Okay. So that's two right there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we only need a third one.
That's it, man.
Yeah. So now it gets a little bit harder. Oh, I'm going to just say, the Meters box set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because now we rounded out, we got some class, Let It Be, Bold as Love. I mean, you're getting your culture there.
Yeah.
And then the Meters, I'm getting just all the grooves and all that stuff that I would want to keep being able to listen to.
Man, I got turned on to this song by somebody I interviewed recently by James Brown called Escapism. You ever heard of that?
I don't know if I know that one.
It's a phenomenal song. There's like a 19-minute version out there on YouTube. Oh, shit. It's intense. Really funky stuff.
Have you heard of Carl Denson? Carl Denson's Tiny Universe?
No.
It doesn't matter. He's a sax player that I got to play with a little bit. He was actually in Sexual Chocolate and Coming to America.
Sexual Chocolate. I remember those records.
He was. Anyway, I did some James Brown tribute stuff, and there's one that's good is Funky President.
I'll have to check that out.
Funky President. I think it was when Carter became president is when that must have been written. And it says, we got a funky new president. And I mean, it's just a one chord groove, but you gotta hear that one. Funky President. It's amazing.
I want to check it out. I got it circled in red.
Non-political discussion here.
Oh, hell yeah. Believe me. Do you know, I'm in the gym. Like, I switched gyms, but I was in this gym and the guy's like, I'm in between sets and he's like coming over to me and talking to me about politics. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Like, are you really fucking doing this here, man? I mean, like, and let's say I even was interested in engaging. Would you think I would change my mind over something? I mean, like in between sets in the gym, I just.
Hey, you're talking to a guy that does social media for a living.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, you must. Oh. Anyway, I avoid all that stuff.
Yeah,
no, I
avoid it too. No one's going to change anyone's mind.
Zero interest in discussing any of that shit, man. All right, man.
But Funky President.
I will by James Brown. Questions get a little tough. Most important thing you've learned about yourself over this journey, and let's call it this journey since you started on YouTube in 2008.
Okay, so
or maybe just your life, whatever.
But no, we're talking about something I've learned about myself.
Yeah.
That I'm resilient, I guess. Yeah. I mean, for sure. That's it. I'm stronger than I realized.
Cool, man. This is a really tough question, man. What do you like most about yourself?
Let's see. What do I like most about myself is my
resilience.
No, I know the answer. I'm trying to think of the right word because it's definitely my empathy, my compassion.
Okay, very cool, man.
My love for my family and my friends, and my love for my love and caring for the people that are important in my life.
Mm-hmm. Flip side, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Well, the go-to is like, I wish I need to drop like 25 pounds. So yeah. And I really do try to be healthy, like I don't eat junk food or anything, but I'm just, I live a good life. So yeah, no, I mean, it's always health. It's always health, for my family too. So, I'm definitely in a healthy phase right now, but that's been that way since I was like 10 years old. It's like, that's probably the number one thing.
Losing weight, man. I was really heavy as a kid.
Yeah.
So I've really worked hard at that.
The occasional YouTube comment doesn't help either, but
you get people comment on that. People say that like,
any bully will say anything that they think will get a rise out of you. And what more bullies are there than on social media? But with saying that, it's something that doesn't affect me at all. I'm totally kidding. And like, honestly, I'd be in the wrong business if I was heavily affected by comments, although I'm very lucky because I get 99% positive comments.
Yeah, that's great, man. Tell me something about yourself people would either be surprised to hear or might find a little odd.
I was a black belt in martial arts growing up.
That is very cool, man.
Yeah. It's something you never want to talk about because there's always that jackass that wants to test it on you.
Yeah. Yo, let me see how tough you are. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and it wasn't when I was doing it, it wasn't like, okay, I'm doing this so I can beat people up. It was like, I loved like Bruce Lee movies and I was good at it. And I really got a lot from it that ended up paying off when I started to play guitar. It's a discipline.
From a discipline standpoint.
Very similar parts of your brain. I'll tell you, I mean, I did martial arts, most of my childhood into probably till I was driving, a car. And that discipline, man, yeah, really helped. And having a mentor, that mentor relationship, I did martial arts privately. I didn't do it in a class. So I had a private instructor that was a mentor to me, and all that stuff really paid off. I really relate to it all the time. So I think that's that.
That's great, man. Who's had the biggest influence on you?
Who's had the biggest influence on me?
Yeah,
my mom. My mom. for sure. I mean, I mean, my dad has been there for me, and he definitely has influenced me a lot. But, my mom and I have similar like personalities and similar genetic ways we think about things. So, and she's always been there, and she's by far my number one fan. So I have to say that because that means she's listening right now.
What's the most important thing your mom taught you?
Once again, I think it relates to the other thing. It's just like the, just love. Yeah. Loving, just caring for the people that are important to you. And, I've never lacked in showing or receiving love and affection to the important people in my life and letting them know and all that. So, and I'm letting them know again, if you're listening, I love you.
There you go, man. Do you have any non-musical superpowers?
Non-musical superpowers?
Yeah.
Pop culture trivia, especially of the 80s.
That's good, man.
Yeah, and especially Star Wars.
I have not heard that one, pop culture trivia. And you drilled it down to a niche, like a time period. That's good. But that's one I haven't heard before. Anything that you're knowing, if you don't have time right now, but you may, but is there anything you're still interested in learning how to do that's on your agenda?
Well, when I see someone like Taz,
I want to learn how to practice guitar.
I want to do that. Yeah. I don't think my hands would move that fast, but something I still want to learn.
Yeah, anything you're interested in learning how to do.
Man, that's one thing has never been lacking in my life. When there's something I want to do, I actually do it. So I don't know, maybe, I mean, I love like cooking shows and stuff. So like that would be fun to get better at that. Like, I fantasize about being like on that show Chopped or something. So something like that. That's, I think, kind of a funky, different thing. But I hate cleaning and doing dishes, so I could only be like the top chef guy, where the other people do all the washing and stuff like that. I just would get creative, because like Chopped is very much an improviser's show. They put a mystery basket of ingredients and you open it and you have to make something with it. And you don't know what it is. And it's like a jazz musician, so I just think, I think that's cool. But I wish I could play piano. I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that is I love piano. Biggest business or personal win?
Let's see. Personal win is I'm about to hit 1 million subscribers with something I started from scratch.
That is huge, man. Congratulations.
In 2 years. I guess that correlates to business, because the bigger you do, the better your business does. But I mean, really, it's just the fact that I still remember sitting, knowing that Marty Music was about to start. And I think it was April of 2016. And I remember sitting here and it was, Marty Music, 0 subscribers, 0 videos, 0 views, 0 emails, 0 everything. And sitting there on that first day, and now 2 years later to have, accomplished it, is
that's tremendous.
Biggest win ever. I don't even care at any other wins from here. I'm so satisfied with that.
How long did it, if you don't have to answer this, how long did it take till you made the first dollar off of the business? And again, if you don't have to answer that.
You mean like 10? No. You mean like 10 years ago?
No. When you started 2.5 years ago.
Oh, it was
both.
It was a year. No, it was and actually either or, about a year.
About a year. Yeah, that's what I figured. It's generally, people don't realize how tough it is to get a business up and running.
That's the thing, man. If I wouldn't have had either experiences or any experience, if I wouldn't have had someone in my ear going, no, dude, trust me, keep doing it. Because you start to doubt it. because it does not happen overnight. And think about putting a year's worth of time into something and you hadn't gotten $1 yet. You're getting rewarded though. I mean, you're getting views, you're building something up for sure. You're not feeling like it's for nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
But like to go for a year, you know, it's you have to have faith, and the faith. You need people to be there in your ear when you are having that doubt, because you're going to have doubt, and it's just keeping with it. And you really need those people to be like, no, trust me. You got to keep doing this. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And maybe the person saying it they're not 100% sure either, but you need to hear it, you know?
Yeah. It's important to have, supporters, man.
And I'm only with people that are like true believers and have my back and I have their back. Like it's the most important thing now I'm only with people that you know, where we have a mutual respect and care for what we're doing, you know? I mean, really, I'm the only Marty Music is a company with one employee and it's me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I work with this great group of people in Nashville and I owe them a lot of gratitude.
Very cool, man. And I'm happy to hear that.
Thanks. Joe Glazer's one of them, by the way.
Joe's great. He's a wonderful guy, man. He really is.
He's amazing.
Any bad habits?
I used to bite my nails really bad. And when I started to get kind of known on YouTube, that was a motivating factor to quit. And I actually haven't bit them in years. I keep them really short, though, because it's about feeling them too long is the urge to bite them or get them off. It's not a mouth thing. It's a finger thing. So I just trim them really short, but I've been able to quit that. And then it's just like, I like beer and wine and cocktails and whatnot. And I do not get hammered. Like I don't have that problem where I can't stop. But you know, as a musician and in social events and all these different things, it's like such a part of like
it's a landscape.
The social landscape that really, that's just the thing I'm always like trying not to overdo, you know? Yeah. And I don't think I do. Well, calorie wise, it's a big part too. Like beer is a lot of calories.
I knew you were going to say that because you told me you're always watching your weight.
I see plenty of people that eat and drink as much as me that are way fitter. So, I mean,
it's just your metabolism, your body, you know, the number of fat cells you have.
Put it this way. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously if I ate less, I wouldn't weigh as much, but if you saw me and my dad, we're like clones. We're literally clones of each other. So
really? Yeah.
He's like the 70-year-old version of me, which is scary, by the way. I see that.
And at least
for him too.
At least you have realistic expectations of what to look forward to. For
me?
Yeah, there you go. Looking at your dad.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was another question.
No.
Hard-hitting question.
No, but any hobbies or interests outside of music?
I've been asked that before too. And I said how many videos I've made. Really, it's like when I'm not doing this, it's really trying to hang with my family. Yeah. You know, but I told you I like pop culture. I like movies. I love Game of Thrones. I love cooking shows. So cooking, you know, that kind of thing. If I could be another job, like if music never happened for me, I always wanted to make movies. But if that wasn't a thing, I think I would have ended up being a good, like something in psychology related. It's another thing I'm interested in.
Like therapy or being a therapist or something?
Yeah, or just something that uses like psychology in general. It wouldn't have to be a therapist.
Marketing.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Favorite and least favorite part of what you do?
Favorite part is that it's just completely on my own terms. I'm in the driver's seat. Mm-hmm. It's pretty nice to not be able to come up with a least favorite.
Yeah, that is good.
That's a good sign, like where it doesn't immediately hit me.
Well, that means it's not a grind.
Yeah, no, I would say, yeah, I mean, the least favorite is just when outside shit is bugging you, but you still have to like be energetic and happy on camera.
Yeah,
but I've just been really lucky lately to not have that problem. But that is like a thing. Like, you know, you have to be in a certain frame of mind when you're actually filming. You know.
How long did it take you till you were comfortable in front of the camera, till you knew, okay, I have to smile this way, I have to
I mean, jokingly, I feel like I'm still trying, but
no, I understand that.
You know, like I'm still learning how to do it all. And for instance, the guitar tours thing, like that's a different thing where I'm like, it's more like a hangout interview.
Yeah.
So it's totally different than teaching or these countdown videos, which I know like some of my diehards probably like those the least. And that's like me like reading a script. But once again, it's about diversity. It's not taking away from the amount of lessons I'm doing. It's an addition to the same amount of lessons I'm doing, if not more. So what was the question again?
It was, how long did it take you till you sort of were comfortable? I mean, as comfortable as you could be, because I get like, I'm really glad this is audio, not video.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You know, I will say that is one of my strengths, and it's not. I don't feel as comfortable and natural as I'm like portraying myself to be. You know, like
nobody would know that. Which I know, like, you know that already. I'm
aware of like every moment that's going on as I do it.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that I was naturally started off better than like average, and then you know within a year I was doing better. And then now, because I'm so involved with feedback and I have smart people around me and comments, and like you also kind of learn like whenever I've done like ooh, Bob Dylan, you, like a lot of people hate that. And I'm like, but I love Bob Dylan. They think I'm insulting Bob Dylan, but I'm like, no, I love Bob Dylan. But it's okay to like, Dana Carvey did it on SNL. We're just having fun right now, you know? So like, okay, I won't do that again because it riled some people up. You know, so you just kind of like learn your audience, I think. But the comfortableness, I think, was that I had, for whatever weird reason, I had an advantage in that. I don't know. I'll give my mom credit. She's
well,
like
you
that.
said a theater thing too. You had a movie thing.
Yeah, I mean, I made little movies, and I was super into, you know, performing sketch. You know, like I did some sketch comedy for fun, and you know, I mean, it was just fun stuff. So I definitely like making people laugh or making, you know, being on stage and stuff like that. Like I just naturally inclined to it. I mean, I was always trying to get girls to like me. Really, it kind of boils down to that. It's true though. I mean, I know it's funny and true.
It is funny.
It's totally true though.
Can you talk about a specific experience that changed your life or maybe altered the way you think about things?
Well, I mean, a perfect example is, you know, getting laid off and losing all my form of work in a period of a week or two, and actually having that be the catalyst for an even better career.
Yeah.
And the learning lesson from that. That
was pretty cool how you handled that too. When you said, "Hey, I know that this is just the, you know, I know that a door closes and this is just the catalyst for something else opening up." Because I'm like that, but I wasn't like that when I was your age, for sure. When that happened to you, you know, whatever, I certainly wasn't like that at all.
Well, you know, I'd had a few experiences leading up to it. One big one, the biggest one before that was when I lived in New Mexico. That's where I went to college, and I was working at the local music store after college. You know, I was gigging, but you know, I was looking for a day job, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to teach guitar, And then there's this great guitar shop that I'll work at and get more students from working there and blah, blah, blah. And so I got fired from that job and I was totally panicked. It seemed like the end of the world and blah, 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 blah. But that's when I started teaching more private lessons. But I didn't look at it the same way. You know, I was totally panicked and my life is over. It was like the end of my life, you know, and really I was like working there 2 days a week. It wasn't even anything, but for whatever reason, I was completely distraught about it. But that new door that opened was now that freed me up for even more private lessons and to actually not have the safety. See, the job at the music store was kind of the safety net for not having to get a bunch of hustle, you know, be self-employed, like hustle lessons and market myself. It was a way to kind of have a safety net. Yeah. So once that safety net was removed, I'm like, oh shit, I need to get students now. And so that reflecting on that helped.
Yeah. You know? So you already had that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like a couple of like, you know, like short-term, like short-lived, like relationships in college. And then, you know, you think that was the one, but then you end up meeting someone better, you know, but at the time you're like, oh, my life's over, that kind of stuff. So some of those different experiences, I like every single time one of those like kind of life altering moments happened, better thing was always around the corner every single time.
That's good, man. So that was good that you pulled on that to not freak out.
But the anxiety's there though. You have to really talk yourself down a lot.
Do you do that? Like I literally will talk to myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, when Marty Music, you know, when I was transitioning into Marty Music, I had a whole vision board on my wall about what I wanted to happen and what was going to happen. And I even, really, I was so desperate. I was trying anything to feel better about where I was going with things. And, but I would talk to myself in the mirror, honestly. And I would have all kinds of stuff written all over the place up on the wall. And it had worked for me in the past. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this again.
I'm chuckling because I was talking to myself in the shower like a week ago. My wife comes in. She goes, who are you talking to? I said myself.
Hell yeah.
We've been together long enough. She knows not to, you know, nothing really surprises her.
I mean, I tried it was all books I was reading. I read a lot of like self-development
book.
Yeah. And all that kind of stuff during time. But I was doing like power poses and stuff, you know, like, you know, holding myself up strong and looking at myself.
When you talk into the camera, have a note in front of you and show the picture of the person you're talking to. Be the person you want to be.
No, I never had a problem with the camera. No, I mean more about my psyche.
Yeah. Just your mindset. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Pumping myself up, you know, that I'm doing everything I can.
Last question, man, and I can't thank you enough. Right. You've been really cool.
Yeah, I had a good time, man.
Thank you so much.
It's like a therapy session.
Yeah, only I am ill qualified to be anyone's therapist.
No, I'm being my own therapist.
Good.
I'm reflecting on things. You know, like we've had a series of, you know, all these kind of related questions, and I don't think I've ever talked this long about all kind of like one plane of events. You know,
man. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of this change has been deliberate and how much is just a part of aging?
Change in personality?
Yeah.
That's a tough one because I don't really know.
Well, and that's an acceptable answer if your personality hasn't changed.
I would say I'm definitely a worrier. I'm a worry kind of guy. So if anything, I think I worry a little less than I used to.
Good for you.
I'm an anxious, I have anxiety and, you know, there's been times where I've had depression and stuff, you know, just like way back.
A lot of people suffer from that.
Yeah, for sure.
Fairly common. So.
For sure.
Man, I can't thank you enough. And for the two people listening who haven't heard of you, I want to tell them where to find you. It's Marty Schwartz, and please check out Marty at martymusic.com and on Marty Music on his YouTube channel. And also you could find him on Instagram at Marty Schwartz. It's SCHWARTZ. Anything else I missed as far as places where people could find you? He's got great YouTube guitar lessons, just really good riffs. And he breaks things down really simple, and he's got a really cool Fiesta Red guitar you got to look at.
Yes.
I love that thing.
I would say, I mean, I'm always looking for new ideas on lessons. I mean, people are certainly not shy about requesting them, but I really do look at the comments and the videos, and I encourage people to, I'm always trying to get the pulse of what people want, So, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, whatever, just hit me up. Let me know what you'd like to see. And I am here for you.
That's great. Thank you, man. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Craig.
Everybody, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Thanks again to Marty Schwartz for spending time with us. Check out Marty online, martymusic.com, and Marty Music on YouTube. Support his channel. And where's your touring schedule? Do you have that posted anywhere?
No, I mean, if anything, I'm trying to mostly stay home. And as of right now, I don't have anything in the books by the time this would come out. Although I'm looking to be back in New York in probably January or February.
At the Iridium again?
And that would be at the Iridium, yeah.
How was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I'm happy to say I sold it out, and had my in-laws there, and it was their 50th anniversary, and we streamed it, so everyone got to watch it, and I got guys like Taz to come up and just melt faces. Everything about it was amazing, and it really fills my tank. Like, I come back from something like that, and that's such a great way to feel invigorated, meeting people and knowing that that they're real people out there. That's an amazing feeling.
Dude, Les Paul, I saw Les Paul there 30 years ago or something.
I played his slot. Monday night.
That's cool.
That was when he played there. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. No, I'm the gigs is not a priority, but if you follow any of my platforms, I won't be shy about asking you to come.
Awesome.
Yeah. But nothing.
And tell Marty you heard the interview and you enjoyed it. Everybody, man, thank you again. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com and sign up to get on our newsletter list right now. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.